Citizen TV, the citizen power.
Well, you know, Randy, I mean, at some point, I really had to pinch myself. I was wondering whether I was seeing a clip from Alice in Wonderland or that we're emerging from Cuckoo's Land, you know. I mean, so strange. And then the other thing which also caught me wondering was indeed whether the New Patriotic Party and its candidates running for president and vice president are actually interested in getting votes from the Ghanaian people. I'm really wondering, okay. Because, Massa, first of all, I would find it extremely strange if in this election the people of Qatar turn out to vote for your presidential ticket. I find it very, very difficult to believe. One, because we have known over the years that one of the most pressing problems of the people of Qatar is sea erosion. And what Napo said about allocating money for the sea defense project and so on completely alienates the people of Qatar.
I thought we were going to talk about just the...
Just hold on, I'm coming. I'm coming. Just hold on. Completely. And then what he said about teachers with diploma certificates also completely alienates a whole category of people and so on. And there are others. So one would have thought that having become the vice presidential candidate, he will make efforts to bring people on board, given the extent of alienation that he has already caused and so on. But yesterday, it was worse. I mean, I was part of President Kufuor's campaign, okay, and I knew the extent to which he went to woo Nkrumahs and people who belong to the CPP tradition.
Very true. Very
he
true.
went to a very, very long extent to do that. Even to the extent of erecting billboards which had him and Nkrumah on the same billboard.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
And then his regular meetings with Kwesi and others, he made special efforts.
And even brought Kwesi to his...
Because he knew the dynamics of the Ghanaian society. And he knows the kind of influence that that tradition has.
Yeah.
It may not express itself in the formation of a political party and how many votes that political party is getting. But it is huge, it is influential. So he made efforts in order to cultivate that tradition. Now, perhaps Napo doesn't know these dynamics. Okay. I can also say on authority that there are many people who voted for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo because of his CPP past.
It's true.
In fact, until February 24, 1966, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo belonged to the radical wing of the Convention People's Party and supported Nkrumah throughout. And still, he has many political friends.
And made Blay our chairman.
He has many political friends who support him on account of that, in spite of the fact that having assumed office, he's joined the effort to denigrate Nkrumah. But he benefited from that and so on. So for Napo yesterday to refer to Nkrumah as your Nkrumah, a most derogatory reference. Your Nkrumah, mon Nkrumah.
Off the cuff.
What? I couldn't believe it. And Randy, look at the person who is attempting to denigrate Nkrumah. Unbelievable. You haven't gotten anywhere. You've just been nominated as running mate. You haven't reached anywhere. And your claim to fame is that you implemented the free SHS program. Go and look at the educational program which was initiated by Nkrumah. In 3 years, enrollment into secondary schools went up by about 10,000%.
During his time.
During his time. And yet you can mount a platform and refer to him as your Nkrumah and so on. I mean, I was totally shocked. Now, at that time, I went back and I reminded myself of the advice that the Asantehene had given him. You know, and his actions were directly opposite what the Asantehene had told him not to do. Okay, it was most troubling. Now, there is also the indirect reference to former President John Ajikun Kufuor. The indirect reference.
Why indirect? It's direct. Is that no leader?
No problem. You may call it direct.
Yeah, it's direct.
I choose to call it indirect because he didn't mention his name. Okay, so you may be right, but that's not what I want to do. The reference to former President John Ajikun Kufuor was most shocking. You see, if you look at Ghanaian history, the only time that somebody from the Dankwa Buzia tradition managed to win elections which was undisputed, free and fair and so on, was President Kufuor's time, the year 2000. Perhaps if President Kufuor had not won the election, we would not be where we are today. So at least some respect. He deserves to be accorded some respect. As somebody who has built something upon which we are building the new patriotic party today, if not destroying what he did. You understand? And yet that respect is not accorded him at all. He's lumped into the category of former president who didn't do anything, or whose achievements come nowhere near Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I was really shocked. Because I don't think that even Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia would talk the way Napo spoke. They would at least acknowledge that they are building, if they are building on the foundations of what President Kufuor left. But this outright dismissal is so very shocking. Yes, you may hate Nkrumah, you may, for ideological reasons and whatever, you may hate him. What about President John Ajikun Kufuor, who built the foundations upon which we are riding today? He also did nothing?
No, he didn't say they did nothing. He said that they don't compare with Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo's achievement surpasses all.
He used superlatives.
Yes.
When he described Nana Akufo-Addo's achievements.
Yes.
So it is clear that he has very little regard for the achievements of former heads of states, including President Kufuor. That's the point I'm making. You understand? But you see, there are so many surprises. Today in Ghana, isn't it surprising that you can get somebody who is in total self-denial, who can say that there has been no hunger in this country for close to 8 years, no hunger. That there's so much food that people are still
in the schools.
He didn't add in the schools. Play it back.
No, that one, he was talking about the schools. There were two different.
Well, so you are trying to infer what he meant.
No. When he talked about Eduane Busa, he was talking about schools.
Schools, yeah.
I didn't get that context.
Yeah.
Okay. But even if that was what he was saying, Eduane Abu.
No, it's a complete lie. I mean, we all live in this country. We know the problems with food. Headmasters are calling on parents to provide food, or students to provide food. Students don't have food to eat. These were things that were on front pages of newspapers, were discussed on programs extensively over a period.
Yeah.
To the extent that during that period, heads of institutions who were soliciting for food from parents and all students were never sanctioned by the GS or the Ministry of Education. Contrary to, others were sanctioned for doing things that were not, but for those who were asking for feeding, and this is just a year or so ago, schools everywhere, parents were being asked to contribute to feeding children. So why would anybody lie like that?
Yeah, so I was really amazed.
I mean, if you talk about hunger, the statistical service informed us
Below poverty.
that 850,000 more have.
I mean, what country is being described to us? Is it a country in which we have been living for the last 7 years?
Homophobia.
Is that Ghana? I'm wondering, I'm watching television, I'm wondering, is this Ghana which is being described to me? I couldn't believe it. You understand? And there's also something which is very, very troubling and has been happening over and over again. The president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, again insisted that the next president would not be John Dramani Mahama. He insisted. No problem. He said it before. And before, he said it even in stronger terms, that under no circumstance would he hand over to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He said that.
Yeah.
Another top activist of the New Patriotic Party in Kumasi on television, Randy, I hope you are listening, said that, as for him, he knows that people may not vote for the party. But on the day of the elections, dwarfs will emerge from nowhere.
Who?
Maurice Ampao. Dwarfs will emerge from nowhere and vote massively for the NPP. Dwarfs.
Or angels.
Tobo, I think. So these things have been said, and then somebody has said that, Ghana will be shocked, and that the elections will be won by strategy, and so on. They've been saying all kinds of things. But then the running mate of Dr. Bawumia yesterday now also tells us that actually the NPP will win because angels will come down and fill the ballot boxes. Are you not worried?
When he said they will vote.
When they vote, are they not filling the ballot boxes?
The angels are on our electoral roll.
This is usually campaign talk, where we say that wherever, and what is imagery in a way, what it means is that wherever we'll find a vote, we will do. And that means we'll convince as many more people.
Not people, angels.
Well, I mean, but it means people.
Angels. No, so if you begin to discount the votes of the Ghanaian people,
we're not discounting it.
And you begin to emphasize the votes of dwarfs, angels, and witches, and so on.
Wizards, too.
And wizards. I mean, what are you telling us? You're going for an election in which you think that your mandate will come from angels, dwarfs, and so on.
Humans, angels, dwarfs, wizards, witches. Everywhere. We will go to every ghetto. Every nook and cranny to get votes. That's what it means. It's a figure of speech of some sort.
I think it's extremely worrying. It's extremely worrying.
It's a figure of speech.
Well, figure of speech, whatever you call it, is extremely worrying, And then there's something else which came up very strongly in yesterday. Maybe there's a reason for it, but whatever reason there is, you got the impression that the focus of this campaign is on winning Ashanti. Ashanti is the focus, it's clear. Your activists were talking about getting 85%. I think the running mate himself even went to the extent of talking about 95% and so on. And the messaging is directed at Ashanti. Look, the earlier you guys woke up to realize that there are 16 regions in Ghana and that Ashanti is only one region, the better it will be for you and for Ghana.
Agreed.
The better it will be for you and Ghana.
But I think I made that point too.
Yes. This whole focus on Ashanti and Ashanti and Ashanti can become a problem, can become a huge problem for you.
Citizen TV, the citizen power.